Look, we've got some shocking news out of Texas where Republican Governor Greg Abbott has pardoned a man that murdered a Black Lives Matter protester in cold blood back in 2020. The case of Daniel Perry has been a cause celeb from some on the MAGA right, and Greg Abbott is now pandering to them. Let's just back up and let me explain to you what happened here in this story so you can understand just how outrageous this pardon is. In the summer of 2020, Daniel Perry was watching the Black Lives Matter protests unfold. He texted to a friend at that time, quote, "I might go to Dallas to shoot looters," end quote. He also texted, "I might have to kill a few people on my way to work. They're rioting outside my apartment complex. No protesters go near me or my car." So I think we've covered premeditation there. A few weeks later, Perry drove his car into a crowd of people at a Black Lives Matter march in Austin, Texas. He ran a red light. His tires were screeching. He was laying on his horn. He nearly hit several of the protesters. Obviously, they were upset about this crazy man driving their car into the protest, attempting vehicular manslaughter. You might remember that's how Heather Heyer died at the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. So as several protesters were hitting the car and asking him what the F was up. One of the marchers, Garrett Foster, walked up to Perry's car window to speak with him. Foster was carrying his rifle. This is Texas, after all. We can talk about that. That's a side story, but it is legal to carry your rifle in Texas. He was carrying it aiming down, and he walked up to Perry's window to, I assume, try to chill him out. We don't know because he's dead, so he can't testify on his behalf. And Perry took out his gun and shot him 5 times. 5 times. There's no reasonable sense that he was fearing for his life. In fact, he testified exactly to that. In his own statement to police, he said, "I believe he was going to aim at me. I didn't want to give him a chance to aim at me." So that's not self-defense. I mean, I'm no country lawyer, but it's one thing if there's someone aiming at you or someone menacing you. In this case, Perry said himself that he just thought he was gonna aim at him because he was carrying his gun. You would think, just as a quick aside, before we get into the fucking Greg Abbott of it all, you would think that the NRA crowd, the pro-Second Amendment crowd, would be absolutely outraged at this. If these people had believed in their convictions, you would think that there would be NRA rallies in support of Garrett Foster, a man who is legally carrying his firearm as they have all called for, as they've demanded in our laws that we have constitutional carry. Here's a man that was adhering to his constitutional rights by carrying a gun, who was marching in the Black Lives Matter protest, expressing his free speech rights. That's all this guy was doing, was expressing his First and Second Amendment rights in a peaceful way. And he was shot dead for it. And yet none of the so-called free speech advocates, Second Amendment advocates in the Republican Party, are coming out to defend him. Instead, they're coming out to defend the murderer, the guy that had a premeditated plan to shoot looters because he was upset about the Black Lives Matter protests, because he was upset that black people and their allies were marching in support of and in defense of people that had suffered extrajudicial killings by police, particularly George Floyd. Just look at the pictures and read the comments from Garrett's wife, Whitney Mitchell, and it just fills me with rage. That these two were out there. This is what America should absolutely be about. It's a interracial loving couple that wanted to speak out on behalf of our multiracial democracy, on behalf of people's rights to live freely without having to worry about extrajudicial killings from the state. And as a result, she's now a widow and he's dead because of one fucking jackass. Like in this story, in any sane country, Democrats, Republicans, pro-Second Amendment, anti-Second Amendment, pro-First Amendment, pro-speech codes, cancel culture crowd, whatever, everybody would unite in defense of Garrett Foster. We would be protesting on his behalf because What they were doing that day is just an expression of the American dream and the American ideal, and we would be united in rage and outrage at Daniel Perry, and we'd be celebrating the fact that a jury of his peers convicted him. That a jury of his peers said that no, you do not have the right to kill people just because they have opinions that you don't like and are legally carrying firearms. This is fucking America. There's a two-tiered system of justice in this country. It's not the one that MAGA Americans complain about. It's the one that MAGA Americans are trying to institute, where somebody can kill anyone they want as long as they wear the other team jersey, where political violence is fine, as my colleague Andrew Egger wrote about in this morning's morning newsletter about Greg Abbott's favorite murderer. On the right, political violence has become a matter of shirts and skins, where if somebody's on your team, then it's cool if they kill people, like and express vigilante justice. If that's on the other team and they are protesting, then they don't have that same right. In fact, they might be okay if they get killed. This is fundamentally un-American. It is outrageous. It is sickening that Greg Abbott thinks that this is justice, that he thinks that this is a political winner for him, that he could single out one murderer and set him free because he murdered somebody of the other political tribe. People in Texas, everybody in Texas, and I'm speaking to Republicans in Texas, Republicans of goodwill and good faith in Texas, you should be fucking outraged by this. You should be calling your governor. You should be in the streets. You should be protesting. This is insane. The idea that somebody gets carte blanche to commit murder because the victim was expressing the wrong political views. They're expressing wrong speak. This is you're worried about cancel culture? This is cancel culture murder. This isn't somebody getting fired from their job or getting criticized. This is somebody that got murdered for expressing their political speech. It is grotesque, and we're going to continue to monitor this. And the people of Texas have an opportunity this year, and they'll have an opportunity in 3 years to speak clearly and say that maybe some of you have conservative views and conservative values, but this is not conservatism. Okay, this is not American to have the government decide who gets to be free and who gets to be in jail based on their political views. The government to decide who gets to live and who gets to die based on their political views. That's how they do things in China. It's not how they do things in America. Greg Abbott, this is absolutely horrific and offensive. And I hope that the response to this is a level of outrage that is commensurate with the degree of the injustice, because the injustice here is off the charts. We'll be back with more here on the YouTube page. Make sure you're subscribed. I'll be back for another Tim Take soon. Peace.